Here you go.
Hater rules. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Wednesday, 5/22/24. Hater rules, as in Josh Hader. I encourage you after this show, or after Levitard, after all of your listening and watching is done for the day, to read an article on ESPN.com written by Buster Olney about Josh Hader, the reliever for the Houston Astros. The article talks about the Hader rules and how his career went with the Brewers, and certain things that he asked of the Brewers and the Brewers acquiesced, certain things about the relationship between Hader and the Brewers, and certain things between the agent and the player and the agent and the team. And the reason this struck my attention and caught my fancy is I love the Hader rules. I want to give you them, and then I want to talk to you about really what happened here. The Hader rules said that he would not pitch more than 2 days in a row. He would not pitch more than 3 outs. He would pitch only in a save situation or when the score was tied. Now, I'm a little sensitive about player rules because I do have my own set of player rules, which is you're the employee, we're the employer, and we ask of you to do your job. We will tell you what your job is. You are a pitcher. You are a hitter. You are a trainer. You are in sales. You are in marketing. The salespeople don't get to tell me that they want to do accounts payable that particular day. The marketing people don't get to tell me they have no interest in working on today's advertisements or today's whatever run of show we're doing. When players come into the stadium, they're given the lineup. It's right there on a board. Sometimes it's handwritten. Then we would post it on a computer. You look at the lineup, and that's where you hit. When you're in the lineup hitting 6th, you cannot show up and start hitting 4th. That would be a rule violation. And it would get your ass kicked by your teammates. When the manager says to you that you're going in the game, let's say he walks to the mound, puts up his right hand, calls for the righty, and you are told by your bullpen coach to get in the game, you get in the game. It's sort of similar to what you do at your own job when your boss comes up to you and says, hey, will you do this for me? You have 2 choices, do it or quit. I absolutely agree with the freedom of every worker to do as he, she, or they choose. However, in a business situation, it is the employer's right to ask the employee to do that which the employee was hired to do. Josh Hader was signed and hired to pitch in the 2nd inning, 1st inning, 8th inning, 9th inning, all of the above, none of the above. On the other hand, baseball is an interesting sport. It's an interesting industry. Josh Hader's part of a union. He's protected. He has an agent named Jeff Berry. Jeff Berry is an agent who I dealt with many times, recently retired. One of my favorite players of Jeff's was Mark Burley. Never had a problem negotiating with Jeff. He was fair. He was honest. He was smart. He only lied when I knew he was lying. And every time I lied, he knew I was lying. Every time he lied, he knew that I knew he was lying. It made for fair deals. When Jeff Berry approached the Brewers, where Josh Hader was a member of that bullpen, and said, listen, we have a situation where my player does not want to be used and abused the way you've been using him. Multiple innings, multiple days in a row. He's worried he's going to get hurt. What an interesting tact to take. As a front office, we cared about players getting hurt who we had long-term investments in. We didn't care about players hurt who we were churning. I'm sorry to acknowledge that. I feel badly acknowledging that. I think you've heard me acknowledge that. If we have a starting pitcher or we have a bullpen arm, arms are fungible is what we thought, especially on one-year deals. Pitch until your arm falls off. Help us until you can help us, and then next man up. we'll find someone else. I never was confronted with a player who said to me, I won't pitch because I want to protect myself from injury. Until Scott Boras did with Jose Fernandez. When we had players coming back from injury, we would work on a plan of recovery. We'd work on rehab. We'd work on how many innings, how it would go. Times have changed now with player empowerment. We talked about it with the Mets when they decided that Senga couldn't pitch because his mechanics were off, and then we learned that he was hurt. So Josh Hader said to the Brewers, I'm going to tell you why I've got the rules. And here's one way I'll change my rules. Sign me to a long-term deal. I've been approached by players so many times in my career who wanted long-term deals. Why wouldn't you? Baseball is guaranteed deals. It protects against injury. That's the goal, to get to free agency or to sign away your free agency by getting guaranteed dollars earlier. Then performance doesn't matter. Pain doesn't matter. Injury doesn't matter. You can walk into the trainer's room and say, I don't feel like playing today, and there's nothing we can do. I mean, we could do a grievance. We could say you're physically unfit to play. There's provisions in the contract. We can say you violated some other provision, and we can try to terminate your contract for cause. But then the union would fight and grieve, and it would be a settlement, and the juice would not be worth the squeeze in most instances. So why don't more players say to their managers, hey, I don't want to commit to this organization because they don't commit to me? And the answer is because 99% of the players have to pitch and play when they're not feeling perfect because they don't want to be injured. They don't want to have a break in service time or a break in performance because they're going for their next deal. The reason Josh Hader could have Hader rules is because he was Josh Hader. There's no mid-inning 4A guy, swing guy coming up with his own set of rules. They'll pitch through pain and lie about it because they don't want to be taken out. And they'll hope that they find a way to muscle through outs. Use sticky stuff. Do whatever they have to do to lie, cheat, and steal to get outs, to keep appearing, to get paid. So the thing about the Hader rules with the Brewers is it would be easy for the Brewers to agree to the Hader rules because it was Hader. But the problem is, and why I always was reticent to agree to anything that a specific player would want that other players would not get, whether that's special treatment on the plane, in the hotel, in the clubhouse, in terms of being on the field for stretch, whatever the case may be, my concern was always precedent and always chemistry. If you know as a player that you're going to get treated differently because you're a superstar, what do you think all the other players feel? And the majority of the players on your team are the other players. The San Francisco Giants giving Barry Bonds a big chair in the clubhouse, nightmare. They created a monster with Bonds, I guess because he was Bonds. We tried never to treat players special. Why? Because we thought it would come back to bite us when it came to performance. The irony, as I was thinking about the Hader rules and what the Brewers did, is that every decision, and you can criticize the result and play the result of my career. I'll take the one ring, but criticize other seasons, that's fine. But every decision I ever made was to win more games within the constraints that I was given financially, within the views of the people I'd hired to do their jobs in baseball. Every time I made a decision, I wanted to win more games. It's way more fun to win than it is to lose, and you make money when you win versus losing. That's why it always gets my goat when people say, oh, he doesn't care about winning. Never met an owner who didn't care about winning. There are plenty of owners who care about making money. I have no problem with that. But every single owner wants to win because it's better to win than to lose. So Hader has all these rules. The Brewers are honest with him, saying, we'll give you the rules. We're not giving you the contract. Then the rest of the league decided they didn't want Josh Hader. They felt as though that Jansen wasn't worth his contract. Chapman wasn't worth his contract. Diaz wasn't worth his contract. Bullpen arms truly are recyclable. Churn them and burn them. Sort of like being a middle-aged person right now, harder to get jobs. You're more worried about keeping your job because you're not sure you'll get a different job. That's sort of what relievers are like. You better perform or you're out on your tuchus and there ain't no way back. Finally, during the course of last offseason, somehow Jim Crane gave and signed Josh Hader to a 5-year, $95 million contract, which present value was bigger than what the Mets gave Diaz, which made it the biggest reliever deal ever. And then, wouldn't you know, that was the end of the Hader rules. When asked how the Astros could use him, Hader said, any way you want. They made a commitment to me. I'll make a commitment to them. That's some harsh business, isn't it? Knowing that you've got players playing for your team, some of whom don't like baseball, some of whom aren't playing as hard as they can, some of whom don't care as much as you want them to care, some of whom are just protecting themselves because they don't want to get hurt, and they want to make sure they don't do anything in order to undermine the possibility of a long-term deal. What other players would that apply to? Let's think about any of Scott Boras's players. I can't think of any off the top of my head, Soto Alonso, but I just can't think of them. Who would they be who would have that attitude? No, I can't figure that out. Maybe it'll come to me during the rest of the show. Hader was fighting with the Brewers over his value. I want to talk about that for a minute, Coca. The value. When there's a difference in value. What happens in your job? I'll tell you what happens in my job. I fight for my value in the media career. I fought for my value with my owner as team president. I'm always fighting for what I think my value is. There's perceived value. There's actual value. There's delusional value. Have you ever had an employee come up to you and say, I can't believe you're paying me this. I deserve that. And my answer is, what are you talking about? Here's where you fit in the salary structure of the company. Here's how you perform in relation to the other employees of the company. You're exactly where you should be, and you're lucky to be there. See you later. It's why you have employee evaluations. It's why you've got ranges. It's why you've got titles. Human resources is no joke. Your company has human resources. It should, at least. Running a baseball team is that. We put our players as our employees, and we calculate what their worth is based on the market, based on our team. It's exactly the way you're supposed to do it. And the beauty of free agency is that you get to choose which employer you work for. Now, you only have 30 choices, but you get to choose. And my irony side note about this, Coca, when we would hear that for players, got to get rid of the antitrust. There's only 30 teams. No, there aren't. Go play in Korea or Japan or anywhere else that has professional baseball. There's plenty of people out there getting paid to play. Oh, you want to play with us? I get it, because Major League Baseball pays the most to its players. But don't tell me there's only 30 choices. Not true. Look what Miles Mikolas did. Look what Dan Straley did. Look at so many players who go to Korea or Japan. So Josh Hader has every right to declare what he wants, and the Brewers have every right to say what they value. We came up with a system that was collectively bargained called arbitration and free agency. Do you remember how the first 3 years of a player's career, you choose their salary, but it's got to be higher than a minimum? But the second 3 years of a career, you choose the salary and the player chooses the salary. And if you disagree, you go to something called arbitration. And then 3 people choose for you. Once you've been in the game 6 years and have 6 years of service, you get to do whatever you want, wherever you want, with whoever you want. Josh Hader was upset about arbitration, upset that the Brewers in Major League Baseball argued in arbitration that Hader didn't have as many saves as other players he wanted to be compared to. Hader had this, Hader had that. That's called an arbitration. Players being hurt about arbitration, it must be a Brewers thing, but it's not, because the Brewers and the Marlins and the Nationals, every team but the Yankees, because they don't go to arbitration. God forbid they upset the players, because that's what the agents say. Don't go to arbitration. Your players are going to be unhappy. It's horse hockey. But then Corbin Burns came around. He was unhappy after arbitration when the Brewers argued that he stunk. And then Hader was unhappy in arbitration, saying, "You're not appreciating me properly." Are these guys not getting educated by their agents? Jeff Berry's way better than that. You tell your player what's going to happen during arbitration. It's like asking to go to a therapist and saying, "Please be nice to me and tell me I have no problems." Well, then what the hell are you here for? "Well, I just don't want you to say that I have the problems. I want you to just cure the problems." Well, Hader's now with the Astros. Do you know that he's had 4 instances already that he's pitched more than 1 inning? And it's only been 20 games with the Astros. Guess how many times he pitched more than 1 inning in 21 through 23 total? Just guess, if you had a guess. Raise your hand if you're sure that it's 0. It's 0. Well, Hader's a bulk man again. And guess what? If he gets hurt, doesn't matter to Hader. I like that the two sides both went at it from a business standpoint. I have nothing against what Hader did. I have nothing against what the Brewers did. I hope you understand a little more right now. It is just business. Anybody watch the Eastern Conference Finals last night? What do you do when you can't stand both teams playing in a game? I had this happen to me in baseball so much when I was running the team. I want both to lose so badly. And the view was that no matter what, you're aware that somebody's going to win. And you're, before the tip-off, before the first pitch, you're despondent beyond repair because you know that you're going to feel worse for the winning team having won than how happy you feel for the losing team having lost. I can't be the only one who thinks that way. I can't be. The way most people deal with that is apathy. They just say, "I'm not going to watch it." They say, "I don't care. Screw it. I hate both teams." Or you can do what I do, which is not like the Celtics or the Pacers, and then watch every minute of the game. And then say to yourself, "I'm just going to root for a good game, a close game." It's such a joke what people tell themselves, and I'm just as guilty. The way I rationalize things, it would make your hair curl. So I'm watching the game. I'm thinking about how unlucky the Knicks got that the Pacers were able to shoot 67% in Game 7 only 2 days ago. Obviously, I thought the Pacers were going to shoot below 67%. I think they did. I thought the Pacers would get below 105 points, which they didn't. They played 5 extra minutes. And man, the Pacers played well, positioned to win Game 1 on the road in Boston. I don't know about you. Indiana looks more like a championship team than Boston to me. Pacers are up 3 and the debate started. I want to have this debate with you all. I wish we were somehow interactive. I'm going to speak to everybody in the room right now who's watching on Nothing Personal with David Samson on the live YouTube stream. Or if you're watching this on DraftKings, you can still reach out and debate this with me. When you're up 3 with 8 seconds left and the other team has the ball and your option is to let them take a 3 or to foul, put them on the free throw line, make them make the first and then purposely miss the second, or make both. Then you've got the ball, you got to foul, and then there's very little time left, and you can keep doing it till the time carbon dates down to 0, half-lives to 0. I hope there's a mathematician out there. Don't correct me. I know that that's the point of it. It never gets to actually 0. I'm with you. But time does run out in a basketball game. So Rick Carlisle doesn't foul. Jaylen Brown hits a 3 from the corner with Siakam not wanting to foul him, sort of just stands there. Brown hits a tough shot, low percentage shot. It goes in. The Celtics tie the game. It goes to overtime once the Pacers can't score with 5.7 seconds left, which they had an opportunity to but couldn't. Rick Carlisle takes the podium and says, "That is on me." As a president of a team, there is one thing that I would not stand for, and that is being criticized by players on different teams. And players have a tendency to do that. Hey, mind your own business, LeBron. LeBron did an entire thing. Where is that tweet? He tweeted about why you have to follow. I used to have it right in front of me, and now it's gone, Coca. It's amazing. I don't know where I put it. Foul. Did I say follow? Where's the tweet? What's the exact? I had it right here. Come on. What's going on here? Technology. Boomer. 56, Lawrence Taylor, gone. He tweeted something like, that's why you have to foul. Up 3. I would do it every single time. If I'm the Pacers, I'm looking at that and I'm going to quote tweet it. I'm going to say, hey, we're still playing. You're not. And then I'm going to go to the coach's office and say, hey, Rick, didn't we discuss this? So I would like to end all mystery and Rick Carlisle taking the podium and saying this loss is on me. Before a game starts, you go through those scenarios. It's not a moment decision. You're not prisoner of the moment. The coach does not have it in his control whether you foul with 5 seconds left, up 3. That's like saying that, oh, the manager in baseball, yeah, we're gonna pitch to Barry Bonds here in the 9th with the base open, down a run. No, we talked about it. We made it very clear. We gave you a piece of paper. Here's where we pitch to Barry Bonds. Here's where we don't. You think that there's any possible way that the Pacers had not gone through that scenario? On top of that, the Pacers had a timeout to work with before the play even happened in case there was like a momentary lapse where the players didn't realize what they were supposed to do. If I'm running the Pacers and I see what happened, and I know before the game we had told Carlisle to foul, and that's how it's supposed to be, I don't know that I would rush the court, but man, I can tell you I would throw the papers that I would be holding in my hand, and I would run down to the locker room, and I would lose my mind. I would take 30 minutes first, but on the 31st minute, it would be bad. The whole reason for all of the pre-game meetings are scenarios, are approaches. The Pacers gave away the game last night. You can't give away games. It used to be that the way people would say it is, and you heard the announcers mention this yesterday, Pacers had a chance to steal a game in Boston. It's not really like that anymore because being on the road, being at home, it's just a game. You got to win 4 games out of 7. That's it. This was their opportunity to win a game. Now they've got to win 4 games out of 6. It just becomes that much harder. Not impossible, just that much harder. I'm not going down to chastise Rick Carlisle about the team's turnovers. There were a lot of turnovers at the end of the game. Not ideal. Remember the Knicks, all their turnovers, trying to get the ball in bounds in the second half during their run. Hey, it happens. I'm not happy about it. We don't talk about that pregame. Hey, don't walk guys. Great. We say it, but sometimes you walk guys. Hey, don't give up any home runs. Sometimes it happens. Hey, don't turn the ball over. Don't be careless. It happens. What you cannot have happen is a strategy not implemented. You just can't do it. Nothing personal pick of the day. How do we do? Celtics minus 10 over the Pacers. LOSS. But Tyrone Corbin pitched yesterday. And guess what happens when he does? The Nationals lose. They get their Patrick Corbin. Do that again. God, that's an NBA brain from the 80s and 90s, isn't it? That's funny. Here we go. 4-8-69. Guess what we won with the nothing personal pick of the day? We bet against Patrick Corbin. He got walloped. The Twins were heavy favorites, but as they should have been, they won by a touchdown and a field goal. What do we got tonight? Let's talk about Blake Snell. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about Scott Boras and Blake Snell. Do you mind? Here we go. Ready? The San Francisco Giants are getting exactly what they deserve. Blake Snell is a pitcher who did not deserve any sort of deal like the time that the Yankees offered him that he turned down. The Giants coming in and swooping in because they felt like laughable losers, then overpaid Blake Snell. And then wonder why after no spring training, because Scott Boras' spring training is not a real spring training, why the guy stinks. Well, You can't always get what you want. And if you try sometimes, you get what you need. Blake Snell is going to give the Giants what they need. And finally, he is going to help his team win a damn game. They're playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Blake Snell, can you imagine a reigning Cy Young Award winner is plus 100 in a game against the Pittsburgh frickin' Pirates? That's insane. We're taking Snell and the Giants over the Pirates. Secondly, anybody out there? Any of the 19,000? It's got to be what? Isn't that funny? I know the capacity for the Knicks used to be 19,763. They then announced attendance in Game 7 of 19,810. So that's 47 more people that go to games now, maybe from the renovation. I don't know the capacity for the hockey game. I know there's obviously fewer floor seats. So I'm going to assume it's under 19,810. Who's going? If you're going, raise your hand and be excited because you're watching the Rangers Panthers. These are my two teams. The Rangers are my home. The Panthers were my life for 40% of my life. I couldn't be happier for the president of the Panthers, a great man named Matt Campbell, the owner, Vinny Viola, Doug Sifu. They are just great people who deserve a Stanley Cup as operators of a team. Not only did they invest in the team, they just were smart about their team, and the Panthers are favored over the Rangers. Well, please don't listen, Matt or Vinny, but tonight we're taking the Rangers. The Rangers are underdogs at the Garden. The Rangers are minus 105. I love it when you can get a team that won the President's Cup to be underdogs in the Eastern Conference Finals in a Game 1. Now, they didn't beat a schlepper to get here, Hurricanes. Neither did the Panthers, Bruins. It is a tight series that's going to go long, which is exciting. There will be no sweep. I expect at least an overtime game in this series, hopefully more. Close games for sure. Great goaltending, excitement. And if you're one of the 19,000 blankety blanks who are going to be there, I'll see you soon. A hockey flex. When we come back, we're going to review a movie I watched in the middle of the night a few nights ago. I can't remember which night. And then something happened in the NFL. I can't wait to discuss it because as it turns out, the year is 2024. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Samson. We come at you every day live. Thank you for downloading, subscribing, watching on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube. We appreciate it. We just thank you for being a part of our family, our ever-growing family. Keep telling your friends about it because we enjoy doing this for you, and we're going to keep going. Why wouldn't we? Just like I watch a movie every day. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, Harold Ramis, Ray Parker Jr., the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I hope you know that I'm talking about Ghostbusters. There was nothing like the original Ghostbusters. I remember seeing it. I'm going to guess here, Coca, that I was 16 years old when it came out. I'm guessing 1984. Love the song, love the movie. Don't remember the year it came out. It's a long time ago. But man, it was just perfect. Then they made a couple of other Ghostbusters. It was 84. Wow. You know how you just know certain things? I know where I was when I saw Ghostbusters for the first time. And when you're a New Yorker in high school watching Ghostbusters, you're thinking to yourself, this is possible. I never became a ghost hunter. I didn't think there was enough money in it, but I guess I would have done that, although I get very scared of the dark. Ghostbusters had a sequel. I liked it. All the gurgling below the subway. And then they decided, let's re-up. And I knew they were doing it. They filmed an all-female Ghostbusters. It was filmed in Boston, and the Marlins were playing the Red Sox during filming. And we were able, as a team, to watch some of that filming. I don't remember what year that one came out. I believe Melissa McCarthy was in it. And I believe if you go back, you will see it was filmed in Boston when the Marlins were playing. But then they just keep doing new ones. Out now is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The best thing about the movie is that it honors Ivan Reitman, who passed away at the end. The best part is you get to watch Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon, two people who I love. The best part is that it's Ghostbusters with a lot of clapbacks. Is it callbacks or clapbacks? I've heard both expressions. I can't remember which is which. It's the one where you talk about something you did in the beginning when you're doing it now, a callback. So, Coco, what's a clapback? That may not even be an expression. So the callbacks in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire are fascinating because it reminds you of the 84 movie, because Bill Murray's in it. So's Ernie Hudson and so's Dan Aykroyd. And they look way older. Why? It's been 40 years. 40. It gave me a tummy ache the entire time because I've got mortality issues. I've got age issues. I've got body dysmorphia issues. I'm telling you, I've got stuff going on recently. I still do a show every day at 8 a.m., but I notice things about myself. I compare pictures of myself, and I don't know why there's a thing on the internet. I don't dye my hair. I've never done anything to myself. So if I did something to myself, I wouldn't be able to do what I do every day, which is look at pictures from past and then measure them against the mirror currently. And I do it at different parts of my body. It's a very bizarre thing. It's got to do a lot of things when you don't sleep. Anyway, I don't love seeing how time passes. It freaks me out. And on top of that, the movie's just okay. If you're looking for a Ghostbusters movie, go watch the original. One of the things that I do appreciate about the passage of time is technology and technological improvements. I consider myself to be technologically extremely unsavvy. On the other hand, I'm way better than some people I've come across, way better than people older than I, and not as good as people younger than I. So I'm right there. I grew up without technology. I thought Atari ping pong was a life-changing event. Boop, 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 when it's off the wall. I thought that any time that I could play Mattel Electronics football and hear the sound from Supertramp's Logical Song, that I was living in an age where every kid would be jealous of me for all time. Now kids look at the games I played with and they laugh. Technology. I mean, look at this thing that I'm addicted to. I told you that night that I had no phone, and it was an absolute disaster. Leagues are all into technology. We would get MLB's central fund, the budget. Teams approve the budget of the commissioner's office because teams pay the commissioner's salary, but they also pay for the operation of the commissioner's office. Because every national deal, sponsorship deal that Noah Garden does, that's money for the 30 clubs. He's working on behalf of the 30 clubs. Rob Manfred is working on behalf of the 30 clubs. But the commissioner's office itself is a business. There's an IT department. There's an HR department. There's AR, AP. There's marketing. There's sales. They're doing national sales. They're doing national marketing. There's hospitality. There's all sorts of stuff. They have a P&L. And it's mostly L, and it's funded by teams. Totally normal. The other department they have is the technology department, where they are always trying to figure out ways to improve technology in the game. They're coming up with great ways to have different camera angles in the park, different ways for you to cheat and steal signs, all sorts of different ways to communicate with the bullpen, communicate with your players. All sorts of ways to help you study film to be better at pitching, better at hitting. And all leagues do this. There is tens of millions of dollars spent on technology. And it always makes me laugh when the out-of-shape old guys wearing the neon vest go jogging onto the field, holding a chain that's separated by 10 yards. They expand it out. And then you've got a guy wearing a black and white striped shirt who could be Ed Hoculai or maybe not. And he puts his finger down and he tells you 4th down and inches, or he does 1st down, based on a chain, which is based on two guys who say, oh, this looks like the place to drop the red stripe. Holy crikeys, that's a 30-yard pass. Pick up the red stripe, orange stripe, run 30 yards, place it back down, look at the line of scrimmage and say, all right, now it's 1st and 10 more yards. Totally out of breath. And all I keep thinking is, what the hell? Is it nostalgia? Is that why the NFL did it that way? Well, it came out yesterday. That could be it. They think they've got the technology. They think they have an optical tracking system. Oh my God, it can't be. They have a way that they can figure out what 10 yards is? No way. No way. Do you know the optical tracking system that we've been using to build ballparks, build buildings, that people are using in other businesses for the past, I don't know, 25 years maybe? Oh, but just now they like it well enough. It's a bunch of horse hockey. The NFL had some sort of thing about the two guys jogging on the field. But now they have to pretend that it's brand new technology. It's just starting, and they're going to test it during preseason. And if it works, what do you mean if it works? I'm sitting in a building right now. I sure as heck fire hope the optical tracking system works, or this building may come falling down. You know what? We'd still find a way to figure out how to do a show the next day at 8 a.m. because that's what we do. Big announcement. The NFL Competition Committee quietly approved the use across all teams in the preseason. I was on a competition committee, but there's nothing quiet about it. What, you don't release it to the media? I couldn't look askance at John Sherholtz without it getting out inside a committee meeting. Give me a break. They're worried about the integrity of the game. They got to make sure the technology works perfectly, so they'll test it during preseason and then make sure it works. Oh, because an optical tracking system that is faulty is still going to be way better, in my opinion, than two dudes eyeballing it. It's absurd. The NFL treats us like we're morons. Why not just announce that you're now ready? But of course, they don't want to eliminate game day jobs. Those guys like getting paid the $250, so they're going to keep the chain gang there, JIC. Do you keep netting on the bottom of a building just in case the bricks fall off after you've gotten your TCO and then your CO? Just in case. Got to make sure. I don't feel like it's quite necessary to keep the chain gang. I really don't. I think the optical tracking system is going to work just fine. Hey, we got to keep 7 people around for a tennis match in case the automatic line judge isn't working. I want them backstage. We'll keep them in a green room and feed them PB&J in case they've got to come out and then mind the net looking for a let. It's like absurd. But they're getting rid of the chains. Because I'm back on the chain gang. Coca, I will give you $1 right now, Mortimer. I will Venmo it to you if you know who sings that song. Right now, without Googling it. You have 5, 4. Back on the chain gang. 3, 2, 1. No bet. Josh Johnson. That's my hint. Because I'm back on the chain gang. Aaron Rodgers, bless his soul, he's back. The NFL is so happy. Remember the schedule release when the Jets are all over prime time, and then one of the people who does the schedule came out publicly and said, hey, listen, he totally screwed us last year. The guy gets hurt after 4 snaps. We had all these primetime games, and the team stunk. No one cared to watch. I don't even remember who the quarterback was. Was it ZW? Is that who it was? I can't remember. I think he was their backup, but then he got benched. And then I think they started the guy who played at University School in Plantation, Zach Wilson. But then there was another guy, Coca, who was a quarterback, played some downs for the Jets. And he was at my daughter's bat mitzvah, actually. And I can't remember the name. God dang it. Nope, still don't have it. Wait. Nope. Don't have it. Anyone in the chat, anyone out there, who was the other quarterback the Jets used last year who went to University School in Davie, Florida? So Aaron Rodgers is back, and the NFL decided, hey, it's time. We're going to do it. We're going to put the Jets back on prime time. Aaron Rodgers is doing these OTAs right now, and he met the media, and boy, it was awesome yesterday. It was awesome. So they're having their OTAs, and he shows up, which is super nice of him. I wonder whether he's going to actually play in any preseason games. That's an Aaron Rodgers thing. He doesn't practice. Aaron Rodgers don't do practice. But here he is doing practice, and he's healthy and ready to roll. If I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, we're all probably going to be out of here. He's saying that Salah and Douglas are going to get canned if Rodgers doesn't play well. He's right. What else did he say? You might not say it, but as you get older in the league, if you don't perform, they're going to get rid of you or bring in the next guy. I mean, it happened in Green Bay, and I'm a few years older than I was back then. Getting rid of a player doesn't play well. Yeah, he's right about that too. That's two things in a row. I don't want to go out as a bum. So that's why I put the work in and believe in my abilities. I mean, you guys saw today, no pads on, but I can obviously still throw it with the best of them and can still move around. When did he ever move around? I don't think he got that right. But yes, he doesn't want to go out as a bum, and his view of a torn Achilles is that's a bum. I love the risk that he's taking. I love that Aaron Rodgers thinks he's still Aaron Rodgers, but I do have a news alert for Aaron Rodgers. You're not Aaron Rodgers of old. You're Aaron Rodgers of today. The Aaron Rodgers of today is a worse player than the Aaron Rodgers of yesterday. You will not be able to do the things that your brain tells you that it can do. That is the incredible cruelty of aging, is that your body and your brain stop being on the same page. There's a direct correlation between aging and delusion, and I don't mean dementia. Is Aaron Rodgers being a little delusional at the moment? You bet your bippy. But the good news is we're going to get a chance to see it because they're on primetime every frickin' week. Let's talk about NILs, if you don't mind. Just a little bit of news regarding NILs. What is it that you associate? Let's play a word game. I'm going to say a word, and then you're going to say the first word that comes to your mind, like word association. Fun game because I won't be able to exactly hear it, but I'm going to guess what you're going to say. Ready? Black. I think you're going to say white. Sun. I think you're going to say screen. NIL. I think you're going to say money. That's what NIL is. It is money being transferred to players in a more legal, systemized way. I was going to say systemic, and then I stopped midway through because systemized is the word, but it still came out as though I were saying systemic. Hi, my name is David Samson. Okay, we're in the clear. A lawsuit was filed. I've been waiting with bated breath, with eager anticipation, with my tail wagging around waiting for this lawsuit. About 16 months ago, University of Florida, released a quarterback. His name is Jaden Rashada. They released him from his letter of intent, and there was a big-time breakup. They're calling it an NIL-fueled breakup, but it doesn't matter. Here's what's at the heart of the breakup. At the heart of the breakup is what you'd imagine is the heart of all breakups. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Oh, you don't think I'm good looking anymore? Oh, I'm too old? Oh, give me money. Sounds like most breakups, doesn't it? Oh, we've been such great partners in this business for so long. I'm sorry we're breaking up. Buy me out. Sound familiar? We have a whole show about business because that's all it is to anybody. When you're offered a 4-year, $13.85 million contract, and you were going to go to Miami, then you go to Florida, and then, wait a minute, you don't get paid 4 years, $13.85 million, you're going to say, hey, Where's my money? And then Florida's going to say, sorry, park's closed. We were just kidding. And now Rashada, who's at Georgia, says, you know what? I think I'm going to file a lawsuit against you. Is anyone at all surprised that all of a sudden there are lawsuits about misrepresentations, lawsuits about misunderstandings, lawsuits about promises delivered but not kept, promises not made but perceived? How do you protect against these things from happening? You're not going to believe where I come out on this. I've never been more in favor of players being unionized than I am now in college. You can't hide anymore that the players are employees. You can't hide anymore that the players are paid employees. Why are we trying to hide it? Let them unionize. Let them have a collective bargaining agreement. It's fine. Let there be a procedure by which players get paid. How about a salary cap? How about a slot? For crying out loud, we're going to cover it at a later date, but the settlement of the huge litigation against the NCAA by former players who didn't get NIL money, that $2.7 billion settlement that we've talked about, the conferences are starting to vote on now. The conferences have already approved and the NCAA will approve. That includes like a slush fund of money to give players per team. You're beginning to set rules. All of a sudden, you're a hop, skip, and a payment away from being a pro. I'm embracing it. The way I'm embracing iOS Update 18 and the iPhone 16. I'm embracing progress. I don't want there to be lawsuits where a team has to say and defend itself, or when a league or when a school. There aren't many lawsuits within sports. Hey, we have this contract. It's a guaranteed contract for $13 million, and we're not paying you. No, that doesn't happen often. Now, we can have it once in a while where we have a reason, and then we argue about the provisions of the contract, which was negotiated and approved by the union and the commissioner's office. That's what the NCAA, if it wants a chance to stay around, they should position themselves as the commissioner's office of a league. Have everything run through them. This lawsuit has a problem. And the reason why it has a problem is that what the player has to prove is that it was more than just an oral promise, is that we had a written deal and that they did not perform their obligation. But what do schools do? Back in the days of boosters, it's like deregulation. It's like using illegal bookies, and now you can use an actual legal app if you're in one of 38 states. It's great progress. The legalization of marijuana, it's great progress because there's control, because there's regulation. There's oversight. It's not always good. They're not always going to be right. You're not always going to agree with it. But it's better than anarchy, and the anarchy of the boosters. That was insanity. You think there are a bunch of players who were promised boosters that got all the money they were supposed to get every single time? You just didn't hear about it because it was illegal. Who do you go to when you get sold pencil shavings by the chief when you're in high school? Nobody. You can't. But now, make it legal, have contracts, have representation, and then if we're going to fight, let's fight within the four corners of a contract that's signed. Let's acknowledge who we are, what we are, and why we chose to be the way we are. The reason NILs were chosen in the first place was to transfer money to players in a more regulated, in a way that basically grants them free agency. Players move from team to team in free agency. Players move from school to school, commitment to commitment in free agency, because with free agency came money, and that's what the NIL is. It's just money. So one of the best ways to do it is to structure it, sit down at a table, look across from each other, and say very simply, it's just business. Sorry, Rashada. This is nothing personal.